welcome to the Wandering Middle Eastern Teacher. I am Abu Laith. So thank you first of all for checking out this new channel. In this channel, it's going to be a mix of a lot of different things. So my background, I've lived in the Middle East for almost 7 years now. And through that, mainly I've been involved in education. So it's something very dear to my heart. I've taught at schools in the United States and in several different countries. So in this channel, we'll be talking largely about education, teaching. I'll be interviewing teachers from around the world, asking their opinions, their advice, their suggestions, practices, what makes them effective teachers. So that hopefully there's something for everyone to learn and to grow and to add to their own toolbox of teaching tools. Also, I'll be reviewing different books written by teachers, and as well as we'll be talking about travel. Great thing about living in the Middle East is you're kind of in the middle of it all. So we've been able to travel around the world to Thailand, Hong Kong, India, Egypt, Europe. So I'll share some of the things that I've learned, some of my favorite destinations, the things that I've done. I definitely enjoy trying to see how much I can do with as little money as possible. So I'll be sharing those kind of cost-cutting life hacks and traveling internationally as well. And I'll also talk about language. So in my time overseas, I've been learning Arabic. So I'll share some of my experiences, the good, the bad, what's worked, what hasn't, and other resources for anyone else out there trying to learn a language and especially trying to learn Arabic. And lastly, I will share the stories of people that I've run across on my journeys. I'm a history major and history teacher by background, so I love hearing people's stories. So I'm going to share some of those stories that I've met along the way. I see this channel in some ways as kind of a bringing together the East and the West. On both sides, there's a lot of misunderstanding about exactly the people on the other side. Some of my Arab friends have asked me various things that they see in the movies are really true. And it seems for a lot of them, that's kind of their definition of what real life is like in America. And then on the other side, a lot of Americans, the only time they see a person of Middle Eastern origin on the news or in movies and on television, they're terrorists blowing up things. So that has definitely not been my experience of the vast majority of people I've met in the Middle East. So I hope by sharing the stories of some of the people that I've met, I can help Westerners understand a little better the real face of the Middle East. So in keeping with that vein, we'll start by sharing the story of one of my friends that I've met. So Muhammad was born and grew up, was a pretty smart guy. Even from the time he was little, he had a fascination with computers. People would bring him their broken down machines and he would tinker with them, replace, upgrade. Loved trying to understand exactly what made them work. So that led him to a prestigious university in his country where he graduated. Fortunately, that's where his story kind of goes off the rails. What until then had been a pretty normal life that lots of us around the world could have related to changed dramatically. So at that point, there was a series of wars and almost civil war in his country. And as he was finished with school, set out to try to find a job, he was threatened and told his kind could not look for work. These jobs were closed to people like him. So at that time, he chose to go to Jordan. His parents had gone there previously in order to apply through the UN, United Nations, for immigration status to a different country, to the West. After a little bit of waiting, his parents were able to go to the United States. But because he was a single Muslim male, he was not allowed to join them during that time, or somehow their applications got separated. So he had to stay in Jordan and wait. That was 2014. He's still there 6 years later. Kind of life is on hold for him. The official policy of Jordan is that they will allow refugees to come and will not actively search them out and try to deport them. They view them as guests. The problem with this is that since they're guests, they are not considered in the eyes of the government refugees, meaning that they don't have access to certain rights and guarantees. And the government supplies virtually no basic needs for them. They're all on their own. So Mohammed has had to borrow, work what little jobs under the table where he can, work for a few days at a grocery store that wanted him to work something ridiculous, like 60, 70 hours for minimal pay. And of course, since it's under the table, he can't really complain or go to an authority. At another time, he was working for a little falafel stand. But government investigators were making their rounds and heard that he was working there. And so the next day, the owner said, sorry, you're fired. You can't work here anymore. And promptly gave his job to another refugee. He's been learning English as he can, trying to keep up with technology and with computers, but a lot of days it just feels like waiting without a lot of hope for the future. Like I said, it's been 6 years now, and he doesn't really have a good idea about when it's going to happen to get out, to get to another country where he can continue to pursue graduate school or find real work. But under current conditions, it's probably doubtful he'll ever be able to go back to his home country either. So hopefully that story, the story of Mohammed, helps you understand a bit what it's like for some of the people living in the Middle East, or just trying to make a living and to survive day to day. So throughout the episodes, I'll share periodically more stories like that, so you can get to know these people that I love living among. So if you have enjoyed this episode and think that the things that we're going to attempt to pull off in this channel are interesting, please click like, subscribe to the channel so that you can be notified when we post new episodes. There should be a lot coming your way relatively soon. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Abu Laith. See you next time.